Hello. It is our pleasure to introduce today's keynote speaker. Kerry Butler has found tremendous success as a Broadway actress. In her 20-plus years on The Great White Way, she has gone from being an ingenue to an award winner to a legitimate theater icon. Her co-stars weep when they meet her because, in many cases, they grew up listening to her sing and dreamed of someday performing with her. Kerry Butler is a big, big star.
As a girl growing up in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, Kerry had her fair share of tough times. She had her heart broken by bullies, boys, and the elusive role of Little Orphan Annie. She has faced professional rejection and production failures, but has always responded to the disappointment in the same way, with training, hard work, and perseverance. She may make a living pretending to be other characters, but she knows exactly who she is and what she believes in. Please join us with a warm welcome for Kerry Butler.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, you guys did your homework. How did you know I was bullied? I'm so excited to be here. Can you hear me? Yeah. This school sounds amazing. I've been hearing about it at my table, and I am going to talk a little bit about two of your core principles this year. Perseverance is one, and faith is the other, right? So, as I said, I grew up in Brooklyn. My mom was a teacher, my dad was an accountant, so nobody in my family was in the arts at all. And when I was 9, I saw Annie, and that was it. I begged my parents to let me audition for it, so they took me out of school, and, okay, this is another part of my story, but I'll tell you right now. My future husband grew up down the street from me. And we went to the same grammar school, and he remembers our principal, Sister Mary Arlene, getting on the PA and saying, "Everyone, please pray for Kerry Butler as she has her final callback for Annie." And he was like, "That's stupid, I'm not praying for that." And I didn't get it. And I still married him. But so anyway, I auditioned for it, I didn't get it, and then I auditioned for Annie the movie. I did get to the final callbacks though, and then I auditioned for the Annie the movie. One day I came home from school and there was a message on my answering machine. Beep. Yes. We're calling to tell you that you've been cast as one of the orphans in the Annie movie. So me and my family are screaming, jumping up and down. Then there was another message. Beep. Please disregard that last message. We dialed the wrong number. 9 years old. But it set me up for a life of rejection, which is the life of an actor. And I think all of you, whatever field you're going into, you can make this work for you too, because, when you're auditioning for a job, you just can't take it personally. Whatever you do, they're not gonna like your hair, I've gotten jobs because I had the same name as their niece, And so, my mom always told me, you just can't take it personally. You go in, do your best, and then let it go. So then I didn't get Annie, but I did get this cabaret. I don't know, do any of you guys know Seth Rudetsky? Do you listen to Sirius Radio, the Broadway station? Well, anyway, Seth and I performed for this cabaret in the city where we would get paid in ice cream sundaes. And all of the kids were actually on Broadway. So the kids would be wearing their Annie t-shirt. Everybody wore a t-shirt of the show that they're in. So the kids were like, Annie, Peter Pan. And me and Seth were like, Haynes, because we had never been on Broadway. But that was my taste. I was like, oh, okay, if I'm good enough to get into this, then, maybe I will make it one day. So even though some doors closed, you have to embrace the little successes, and that can kind of keep you going. I went to, and also I did commercials. So all this time when I was in high school and grammar school, I would audition for Broadway, never got it, but I did get commercials. And I ended up paying for my college with the money I made from TV commercials. And my agents at the time, because I was making them, a lot of money doing commercials, I really wanted to do Broadway. I really wanted to be acting. So I had a meeting, with my agents, and they're like, yeah, she just can't act. So all of these things that happened to me, I was just like, whenever I got a Broadway show, I'd be like, in your face, agents who told me I couldn't act. All of that stuff it didn't, and I was realistic because I knew, okay, I still need to work on that. I constantly take classes. I constantly work, but I didn't let it stop me. So I went to college. I went to Ithaca College. There, my first semester, I got a letter saying, you probably aren't good enough to stay in the program. And of course, I was devastated. And when I get upset about something, I allow myself a day to really indulge in that. So I'll just play all sad songs, and then I get it out of my system. I let myself live in that rejection, and then it's out of my system, and I can move on, and I'll say, okay, now what are my next steps I'm going to take to be better the next time? But anyway, I ended up making it through the program. I loved my time at college. I learned there that I could be funny. I never had done comedy before. I learned discipline. So many times on shows, I'll see people who, will just show up late or call in sick when they're not really sick. And those are things that my school really taught us not to do. They're like, you have to have a really strong work ethic. Okay, so I finished college, and I got a job my senior year. I auditioned while I was still in school for a bus and truck tour of the show Oklahoma. So bus and truck is basically you get on a bus and you drive to the theater, you perform that night, and then you get back on the bus and either go to a hotel or you drive, 3 hours to the next place you're going to. And so I did this in Europe. So my first job out of college, I was getting paid to travel Europe, which was amazing. And I was Ado Annie in Oklahoma. And I don't know if and so we did the whole show in English, except for the finale, Oklahoma, Dinah Felda, Vegan Zicken Wind. Because we did it mostly throughout Germany, and then we went to Italy and a few other places, but it was amazing. And during our Q&A session, if you want to ask me questions about that, there are some good stories about the Oklahoma bus and truck tour. But then if you're familiar with the show, Ado Annie is the one, she sings the song, I Can't Say No. And towards the end of the run, I started losing my voice. And by the end of the run, I literally couldn't say no because I completely lost my voice. I was like air was coming out. So I'm in Italy. They take me to a doctor, and he's speaking Italian, which I don't speak, and I have no idea what he's saying. But I'm thinking I'm never going to sing again. And he's like, you have to leave the tour. You have to go home. So I go home and I see a doctor in New York, and they say you have to have an operation. You have nodes on your vocal cords. And so now I'm, devastated because this is my dream. And then I go get a second opinion, and they say, well, if you don't talk for a month, then maybe you'll be okay. So, and this was before cell phones, no texting. I stopped talking for a month. I would go out with a chalkboard. My friends would call me, and one beep would be yes, 2 beeps would be no. And we would, I would go out with my friend to a bar. What's your sign? On a chalkboard. But then it worked. I was cured. I studied with a different voice teacher. This is very specific to singers, but I'm a big belter. There's the soprano voice, which is very legit, like Julie Andrews, and then I'm more like an Ethel Merman kind of type. And I wasn't doing it correctly, so I started studying with someone, and knock on wood, I've never had a problem since then. And now I do warm-ups before every show, half-hour warm-up. I warm up my body. But so that taught me to really take care of my body. My body is my instrument. And after that, okay. So from my college, I got we did like a showcase. I got a new agent. This agent didn't think I was a bad actress anymore. And they're the ones who got me into the Oklahoma show. So we came back from Oklahoma, and then I heard that this show, Blood Brothers, was coming to Broadway. When I was in college, I spent a semester in London, and I saw this show, Blood Brothers, and I saw it 3 times. It was my all-time favorite show, and I heard it was coming to Broadway, so I called up my new agents, and I was like, you have to get me in for Blood Brothers is coming to Broadway, and they're like, who are you? But somehow, they got me in, and they got me into, like, usually, you audition for one person, then you're called back, and then you audition for maybe 2 people. It's like a long process. Somehow, they got me into the final, like, in front of the producers and everything. So I sang this song called I Just Want to Be a Star, and at the end, the producer said to me, Kerry, I think you will be. And so then he called me back that afternoon, and this was for Broadway too. He called me back that afternoon, and I did my scenes. And when I finished my scenes, I was like, I just have to tell you, this is my all-time favorite show. I don't even care whether I'm in it. I'm just excited to see it every single night. And then I got cast as the swing, which means I'm basically the understudy for a bunch of different people, and I got to watch it every single night. I got paid to watch it every single night, and it was amazing. It was like some of the same people I saw in London were in it, and they were incredible. And so this was my first Broadway show. And then I ended up moving into the show, and I did it with a lot of people you guys won't remember, but your parents might, like David and Sean Cassidy and Carole King and Petula Clark. And so it was really, really, really exciting and a great first experience. And then after that, I went on to do lots of different shows, like, Beauty and the Beast and The Best Man with Angela Lansbury and James Earl Jones, Hairspray. And so something I learned from this career and from that experience of Blood Brothers is that you are your own best advocate. So you should know your own strengths and weaknesses and then fight for yourself. So I'm a terrible dancer. I've taken dance classes my entire life. So people might say, well, how could you ever think that you'd be on Broadway in musicals if you can't dance? And now I have turned my weakness into a positive. If you come see my shows, I make my characters bad dancers. And almost every show, there's like a moment of where I'm a bad dancer. Like when I was in Hairspray, people would come back and be like, oh my gosh, that was hilarious. And I was like, I was trying to be good, but okay. And I have a moment, I'm in Beetlejuice now, and I have a moment where I'm just like really nerdy dancing. And so I just try and swing it in. So I turned my weakness into a positive in that way. And also when you're your own advocate, you can't fight for everything, right? Because you're not going to be absolutely perfect for every job. So it's important that you know yourself, you know your strengths, and then you fight for the ones that you think that you can actually get. Because if I called my agents like every single day, they would stop taking my calls, right? Okay, now the second part of my little speech is going to be about faith. So I have done a lot of things in my life based on signs. This is the part that you might think is crazy. When I was little, I had very specific plans for my life. I was going to be a superstar by age 30, and then and only then would I consider getting married to a 6-foot-tall blonde banker. So after I did Blood Brothers, I went off to LA to become a superstar, and nothing happened. I wasn't going on any auditions. I was just sitting there, and I was dating that guy who didn't pray for me. Remember him? I was dating him, but I was like, well, I'm in LA. I want to be a superstar. So I called him to break up with him because I was like, I'm going to stay here. And he was like, what? I just bought the ring. And we had never even discussed getting married, like never ever thought about it. And I was so young, I was just out of school. And so I said, thinking this is going to be my out, I said, well, let's pray about it and see if we get a sign that we're meant to be together. And I'm thinking, like, no way am I going to get a sign. So I'm in LA, And I open this drawer, and I see this list that I had us write when we were together. I was like, let's write down our favorite things about each other, our favorite times together, so then whenever we get mad at each other, we'll look at this list and we won't be mad anymore. So I see this list, I'm like, oh, great! Is this my sign? I don't want this sign. So then I talk to him. The next day he calls me, and we're in this fight because I said, I was breaking up with him when he already bought the ring. And so then he's talking to me, he's like, oh, guess what I found today? And I was like, what? And then he goes, that list that you made us write. And then both of us said at the same time that we started writing in new things. So I was like, okay, guess I'm getting married, God. And I can't even tell you how many times I called off the wedding because I was so scared. It wasn't what I wanted, but God knew better than me, and he's so great. He's totally not who I, would have chosen. Oh, but okay, so now back to my things. He's not blonde. He's not 6 feet tall. I know what you're thinking. Is he at least a banker? Close. He's a puppeteer. So my husband worked on Sesame Street for 25 years and as a writer. And, in this crazy business of uncertainty where, every other day I think my career is over, it's just great to have this grounding person in my life who, will tell me when I'm, doing the wrong thing or not being a nice person, or tell me when I'm turning into a crazy actress. And so God knew that. God knew that I needed that. Then another time, so I thought, when you go through acting school, you see that the people who have really good parents are just set up so much better to handle the stresses of life and the struggles that happen in life. And so I thought, we've had such good parents. We've been so blessed. I really felt called to give that to another child. And so I really, really wanted to adopt. And my husband said, he came to me after we'd been married 10 years, and he was like, I don't think I want to have kids because we're the happiest couple we know. Everyone who has kids is miserable. And so then again, I was like, well, let's pray about it. And we opened our Bible and turned to the passage, whoever welcomes a child in my name welcomes me. And he was like, well, you just must turn to that passage a lot. And he takes my Bible from me and he starts flipping through it, and it wouldn't turn to that passage again. And I was like, no, that was your sign that we're meant to adopt. And so then this time he was really mad that he got the sign. But then signs kept coming, he kept meeting all these people talking about adoption and how it changed their life and is the best thing. And these people would just come into his life. Someone at our church came up to him and she was like, I feel like God is calling me to pray for you. You're going through something. And he's like, all right, I hear you, God. So we ended up adopting our daughters. We really wanted to help somebody who, we wanted to go through a program that we knew was safe, because so many times adopting from other countries, it can turn into something corrupt. So we were going to do China, and then it takes a long time. It's kind of like giving birth. It takes at least 9 months or to a year. So right when we're about to get our daughter, they say, oh, China's not doing adoptions anymore because of the Olympics. They don't want to look like they have a lot of children to adopt there. So they said, would you switch to Ethiopia? Because there's 5 million orphans there, and it's a new program. And so we said, sure, yes, we'll do it. And we adopted from Ethiopia, and it's the best thing I ever did in my whole life. We have 2 daughters from there now, Segi and Samaya, and they're amazing. But the best thing about adoption is that this little girl who I might have never known lives across the world is now my heart. I might have never even met them, and now they're who I love more than anything in the world. And also it's helped me become an advocate because your eyes are open. The world is a smaller place. And now I'm an advocate for the African American community. Like my daughter, one time we were in a cab when she was about 4 years old, and a commercial for Porgy and Bess came on the taxi cab, and she said, "Mommy, that show has all brown people in it." And I said, "Oh yeah, well a lot of shows have that." And she's like, "No, Mom, usually it's just one." And so she saw that as a 4-year-old, and that's something that, a lot of us in the room might not even realize. And so now, and the African American community has welcomed me, and it's just been such a great experience. And also, the other thing I want to pass on is yes and, which Mrs. Phillips teaches you in your drama classes. So, when they said we weren't doing China, do you want to switch to Ethiopia? Yes and, here we go. And so that's also something that I've done a lot in my career. One of my hardest parts I ever did was this show called Xanadu. And they called me up before I got it, and they were like, "Do you roller skate?" And I was like, "Yes." And my husband's like, "Honey, wait, did you just tell them that you roller skate?" And I was like, "Yeah, I used to go to roller skating birthdays all the time when I was 9. And so, but then really I had to do ramps and stunts, and it was crazy. And I went to rehearsal, and so I practiced before. And I was like, maybe I should have a trainer before we start rehearsal. So I would train in Central Park, just going down the little ramps. And then when we got to rehearsal, it was so hard. I couldn't even think of my lines because all I could think of was okay, I stop with my right foot, push off on the left foot, all while I'm saying my lines. And I thought I was going to be fired the entire time because I couldn't act. And I told my director, I said, just so you know, I'm not going to be able to act, for a month or something. And then once we opened, so I said yes and then that's the show that I got nominated for a Tony for. And I said to my director after we had opened, I said, "Oh, I thought you were gonna fire me the whole first month of rehearsal." And he's like, So it was true. But luckily I made it through. And another one that I said yes and was, I got asked to play Hillary Clinton in a musical. And at first I was a little unsettled. I was like, do I look like Hillary Clinton? Do I look like I'm old enough to play Hillary Clinton? There's nothing about me that says Hillary Clinton to me. And, but I wasn't doing anything. And so I said, yes, okay. And then I watched videotapes, and that was really, really hard because, you could hear me talking. There is nothing about me like Hillary Clinton. But I watched all these videos, and I really got inside her, and I didn't fail. I got, good reviews and stuff. And so I felt like after doing that, now I feel like I could do anything. So when you say yes, then to things you're really scared to do, then who knows what will happen. So those are the things that I was going to pass on to you. And lastly, I know that this is about becoming a leader. I always thought when I was younger I wanted to be a leader, but I thought, oh, well, I won't be able to be a leader until I'm doing something really big, until I'm a big star. When I'm a star, then I'm going to use that to change the world. And I realized when I started doing shows that my work that God was using me for was actually backstage. I would have a backstage Bible study, and so many people, need you. And so I feel like you guys take this opportunity now because you can empower everyone around you right now. And especially with Instagram, who knows? I don't encourage my girls to go on Instagram, especially for girls. It's not healthy, but you can use it to good. I do this whole thing now where I try and post 3 positive things a day, and all these young girls that follow me are like, oh my gosh, I love this. Yes, let's be thankful for 3 things. And they're all sending me their posts. So there's so much that you can do right now with YouTube and Instagram. You can be your own leaders. You can follow your passions and make things happen for yourself no matter how old you are, and start that path. And now I'm just going to sing a little something for you. This is what I would sing to my daughters when they were little. This was their favorite song, and I think that it I don't know, it summarizes everything that being their mom has taught me. It's a world of laughter, a world of tears. It's a world of hope and a world of fear. There's so much that we share that it's time we're aware. It's a small world after all. There is just one sun and one golden moon, and a smile means friendship to everyone. Though the mountains divide and the oceans are wide, it's a small, small world. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Is there another microphone? I'll help you with the Q&A.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, that was a bonus. I didn't expect. Oh my goodness. So I'm just going to help Kerry with some Q&A. So I'm sure that you have some questions. I know that she kind of teased a little bit about having some good stories. So if you have a question, just raise your hand and I'll point you out. I'm just helping her see the room. Who has a question? Who wants to be the first one?
Yes, over here.
Oh, go ahead.
Good question. So you talked about switching agents at one point in your life. How do you assess who would be a good match for you, for your values, your career goals, and an ability to put your trust into someone to help move your career forward in a way that's beneficial for you and where you really think it should go?
That's a great question. Again, knowing what you want in life is, I think, important, and making sure that you are on the same mindset as your agent is really important. First of all, you want to go with somebody who really believes in you. It doesn't matter if it's a huge agency or a small agency. If they really believe in you, then they're the ones who are going to push for you and everything like that. But if you have choices, then like I have left agents because, they did. I ended up, now I don't want to be a superstar anymore. Now I just want to have my family. I just want to be a working actress. And I love what I do. So a lot of times, like, my agents turned down Mean Girls without me knowing because they wanted me to, like, be free for TV and stuff. And so when I found that out, I was like, what? No, you can't do that. So, having open communication, but knowing what you want. So, like, I'll be a lead one time, and then I'll be, just a member of the ensemble, because I don't care. That's your ego that only wants, and my agents would say, oh, no, you can't take less money, things like that. No, I love what I do. I just want to do it. I don't care. And so, finding a person who also has the same vision for you is important.
In the back? All the way in the back?
For those of us who have daughters and sons who may want to go into careers that aren't as predictable, and it's that balance between following your dreams but having a job to pay your bills. So how, you obviously went into a career where it was more skewed on one side. So what advice do you have for us as parents?
I think trust their passion, because that's what's going to make them happy. Money isn't necessarily going to make you happy. My husband, his parents said that he couldn't go to school as an artist. They told him he could only minor in acting, and so he had to go for economics, and he doesn't remember anything from economics, doesn't remember anything, but he ended up using his minor in acting, and then became a puppeteer on Sesame Street, and did amazing. And so I think when you are really passionate about something, also like stay open to whatever doors. Like you can't just think like, oh, I want to be on Broadway, because that's not. If their dream is to be an artist, then you can support that in any way, and they can do that anywhere and be successful. When you limit yourself, that's when you get into trouble. So it's safe to say, I want to be a working actress, then I can work in DC, I can work in Seattle. There's so many places that have a great arts community. And so the scary part is thinking like, oh, they want to be on Broadway, will they be on Broadway? I found out the other day, only 2% of all actors or people who want to be actors come to New York ever get a paycheck for acting. 2% of all actors. Yeah, it's crazy. And so, but that doesn't mean you can't be an actress someplace else. That doesn't mean you can't be an artist someplace else. There's so much work outside of New York. You just have to, if you can't get in that door, you go in through a window.
Right there. Go ahead.
You have a lot of faith.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that comes across strongly. When did you know that your faith is as strong as it is, maybe from when you were a little girl? And how did you hold your faith throughout your life, throughout your career? Was there a time where you found it difficult to speak about your faith in the entertainment community?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you want to go there, but yeah, I feel like from when I was in high school, I felt a very strong connection to God, and I felt like, but I felt like it was more than what I was being taught, and I was searching for a deeper connection. And I'm still searching, and my faith is constantly changing, and I think you can't limit your faith because it's a real relationship. Just like your relationship with your husband, your relationship with God is going to go through times where you're like, I don't know if you exist. Are you there? Do you love me? You're not taking care of me. I'm alone. And then there are going to be times when just crazy things happen. You're like, oh, thanks, God, you're taking me out on a date. Or, everything is going smooth. And you're like, oh, I see where you're taking me. And I have, so I've been open to, I've gone church shopping. I've, gone to different churches and found one that's really right for me. I would say, politics has really hurt my faith. Like I felt like a lot of things, Jesus was being corrupted in a way, and that was something that made me really question my faith. And then I found people that I was in alignment with, where welcoming, being exactly Jesus' words, welcoming the immigrant and loving people and being really loving. And so when I found that, then I was like, oh, okay, I believe in God again.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else? No?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, so especially as an actor, what would you say is the best advice for dealing with criticism?
I just think that you just can't take it personally. It's just like, when you meet somebody is gonna, say in this room, like I think there's statistics like if there's a group of 10 people, one person is gonna immediately love you and one person's immediately gonna hate you, just based on you walking into the room. So when you get bad criticism, it might be their own thing. You can't take it personally. And when I audition for things, I try and do my best, and then I throw out the sides because I want to forget about it. I don't want to be obsessed. Oh gosh, why aren't they calling? I just forget about it, and I just think, that's my job. Auditioning is my job. That's the hard part, and doing the work is the easy part.
oh,
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak to us a little bit about the impact that going to an all-girls high school had on you and your perception of life and how that affected you?
my favorite part about my high school was my religion class. I loved questioning. I loved sitting in a group and really questioning all of the things that the Bible says, or learning about different religions. I love learning about different religions, and I love all of the things that come along with that, the values that like, I love your 4 core principles. I think that's amazing, an amazing thing to teach women and to strive for. My school, I was so focused on where I wanted to go. I wasn't a great student because I just wanted to get out and wanted to audition. Yeah, I don't know. I was saying to, I think Mrs. Phillips, I was saying this to, that I wish that my teachers had told me how I could use all of these things, even in acting, because I played Miss Norbury in math, and then I was like, oh no, I have to learn math again. I don't remember this. I don't remember calculus. But all of that stuff, everything you learn is incorporated depending on what character you're playing. Science, I'll play somebody who's really into science, and then I'll have to go get, Science for Dummies to relearn it all.
Question about your daughters. How old are they now? And do either of them have an inclination towards theater?
So my daughters are 7 and 13, and they love going to the theater. My little one definitely wants to be an actress. My older one doesn't want to be an actress, and it's actually funny because she's just starting to look at high schools. And, LaGuardia in New York is a really good school. And I was like, oh, they'll probably be excited if my daughter is applying there. Like, are you sure you don't want to learn a monologue, honey? Come on. She's like, but then I'd have to do acting in school. And I was like, oh, right. Like, I'm the opposite of most parents, like trying to force my daughter into learning acting and stuff. But yeah, so she's not that into it. She wants to be a model, and she wants to start her own skincare line. And my daughters also think like going to Broadway shows is like going to the movies, and I'm like, Mommy doesn't get any free tickets. You are cut off from Mean Girls.
Okay, last call for questions. Anybody?
Oh, yeah. Oh, so, no.
No, you have to go to see Beetlejuice. That's how you say it. Is anyone? Okay. Oh, who has a question over here? Go ahead.
You mentioned both your parents were not in the industry. How did you feel that they supported you in terms of things from something like traditional that is not?
Yeah, my parents were so supportive. As soon as I said that I wanted to do it at 9, my mom was a full-time teacher, and she would take me right after school on auditions at least 3 times a week into the city for auditions. And now that I have my own daughters, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine doing that for my kids. She was so giving. And my dad, he just said the other day, he was like, I remember that audition for Annie when you made it to the final callbacks and you didn't get it. He's like, I was trying not to cry that day. So they were very, very supportive, and they still go see all my shows and love it.
Okay, last question. Anyone?
Mm-hmm. Over there.
Oh, over here.
It sounds like you're very busy, both as a mom and as an actress. How do you find balance in your life? Like, do you have any advice on balance?
Well, when my daughters were really little, I had a nanny, and but I would I used to do this thing in my head where I would count the hours that I was spending with my daughters. I don't know if anybody else does that, and be like, okay, I got more hours than her. Got more hours. Like, so I would just make myself crazy. But I do. My first show was when we first adopted my daughter, and I negotiated to have Sundays off. So I could have like a real weekend, because normally I only have 1 day off a week. I only have Mondays off. And the hard part was my daughter, when she would wake up in the middle of the night, she would never want me. She would only want my husband, and because I was never there at night. And so that really hurt. So anyway, I negotiated to have an extra day off. I am there all day, most of the time, except on like Saturday, except when they're off. But so I try and do things like that. I try to do all the school stuff. I've turned down a lot of stuff, actually. Like I've turned down, I turned down my like a screen test for Glee because my husband was like, we have a new baby, you can't do a TV show in LA. So that's a rough one that I turned that down. But yeah, so I will turn down stuff that's shooting outside of town or take a break, like 6 months. But yeah, it's definitely hard. My husband's been away doing a show in LA for 4 months, and so all this while I was opening Beetlejuice, and I am just so tired. He comes back on Wednesday, I'm like, thank the Lord, because it has been rough. I started paying my older daughter $20 a morning to get her sister ready so that I can have an extra half hour of sleep, and that's been working out great. That extra half hour goes a long way.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kerry. I really enjoyed that. I hope you all did as well. I kind of mentioned it when there was a question if Kerry could sing again, and I think we were all asking that question in our hearts. But if you would like to see Kerry, obviously you can go see her in Beetlejuice. And hopefully you'll have a nice long run, Kerry. And then on the back of your menu cards, it has Kerry's bio, and it has the name of her album, which is available on iTunes. So I don't think Kerry would mind one bit if you downloaded that today. Okay? So Kerry, thank you. Can we just give her one more round of applause? And I'd like to thank all of you for being here today. Many of you have been here multiple years, so thank you so much for continuing our tradition of inspiring our junior class as they enter the very intimidating world of networking, which that's what they've experienced today. I hope you've enjoyed speaking to them. I'm sure that they've enjoyed speaking to you as well. So at this time, can I ask our 11th graders to stand up, please? There they are. Look at these girls. So these young ladies, this is our class of 2020. They are our rising seniors. They are wonderful young ladies. They are smart. They are feisty. They are young women of character who will continue to grow and do great things for this world and in this world. So we are looking forward to seeing your growth in the next year, girls. Thank you so much. And I also want to give a shout out to our alums, alum table. What's up? Hey. Thank you, girls, so much. At this point, we're almost ready to graduate a third class, but we've only had 2 classes of graduates. That's how new we are. We are relentlessly proud of you. And as you know, if you walk into the doors of Trinity Hall, we grab you like we haven't seen you in years and years and years, which it feels like that because we saw so much of you. But please keep coming back because we miss you. This year at Trinity Hall, we just completed a huge building project. If you've been to the school, you may have seen it. Seemingly overnight, we doubled our square footage, and the students quickly embraced the new space very quickly and found their own little nooks and crannies of places that they enjoy to spend time learning and laughing. We do a lot of laughing and just going on this academic adventure. We're not done expanding because, as I well know, as the director of admissions, there is a constant need and real desire for girls in this area to have an all-girls option for school. So if you're interested, as we continue to expand, if you're interested in learning more about Trinity Hall, please don't be shy, okay? All right, so some final thoughts. There are, as Mary Squirrello may have mentioned at the beginning, can we just give a hand to our beautiful artist over here from Innocent? This is Lily. It's amazing the work that she's done. So Lily is going to create, if you take your time to shine share cards, and if you have a couple really nice takeaways that you want to share with her, she is going to graphically record on the time to shine board that's in the corner there, our collective experience here today. So if you'd like to jot down some thoughts, please share them on your way out. Please give those cards to Lily, and she will incorporate that into the artwork. You may have mentioned the big table of donuts on the way in. I know I did. So those were generously donated by Broad Street Dough Co., which is a woman-owned business. They are just expanding. So please take a donut on your way out. And if you're able to support Broad Street Dough Co., please do. Follow them on Instagram and the socials. You may have seen it's called a step and repeat, that backdrop with the Beetlejuice. You can stick your face through the holes and take a picture. I thought that was really funny. So please take a picture and share it on Instagram or Twitter. Please, before you leave, you're all dressed up. You look really nice. You've made a nice friend, a new friend. Girls, if you want to grab somebody that you've been networking with, take a picture. I'm sure that they will appreciate it. Keep up with Kerry. Her social channels are on the back of your card, so please follow her on Instagram. As she mentioned, she does talk a lot about gratitude, and there's also some really cool backstage things. So if you're into theater, you can get a scoop from there. And keep in touch with Trinity Hall. Did I put our socials up there? We're at Trinity Hall NJ on Instagram and Twitter. And just kind of obnoxiously, I put my business card on every table. So if you have any questions, give me a call. My email address is on there, so please feel free if you have questions about anything that happened today. If you want to donate a gym to Trinity Hall, that would be phenomenal, okay? So thank you on behalf of everyone here at Trinity Hall. Thank you so much for being here. I'm actually, at this time, we're all going to collectively say goodbye to Kerry because she's been very humble, but, just kind of casually has in addition to a performance tonight, she has a Tony rehearsal. So we're going to jump in her car, yes. So she's going to say hi to the stars for us. Thank you, everyone, for coming.